Have you ever played Subnautica and thought, could he really do that? And no, not all the skills, the survival, the ingenuity, none of that. The fucking breathing. For a game that takes place entirely underwater, he doesn't complain about breathing at all. And yeah, you have your little oxygen meter, but we don't have those in real life. And especially when fucking
Michael,
the fucking sea snake god fuck creature exists, that'd make the air go pretty quickly from your lungs to your asshole. So good on me decided to test that on this episode of Mythbusters. This is such a dumb idea. If anyone finds me just passed out or dead, pretend I died doing something cool. So there I was, flying through space, having a fun time on my way to your mother's house. But then, oh no, it suddenly crashes into an ocean world, and I am hit in the face with a very painful piece of metal. Why the fuck am I doing this? And as I awake, ooh, danger, but not to me, because there is still oxygen in this life pod. The first thing I do is collect basic materials to make the basic tools. It was at this point that I realized how stupid this idea is, because I was getting out of breath and lightheaded. When initially testing the time I could hold my breath, I made it to 1.5 minutes fairly comfortably. But as it turns out, this decreases after holding your breath a few times. So already at this point, after 10 minutes of recording, I was already down to about 1 minute. Suddenly I remembered, ooh, there is a thing. I started taking bladderfish just as an emergency, because they provide a little bit of oxygen in the game. So for me, they'd give me a tiny gasp of air. After a little while, I had enough materials to make a good few tools, and now I could more efficiently collect materials and scan more fragments. After a little while of just swimming around on my own, I realized vehicles will be incredibly useful for this run. So the first thing I did was make a sea moth, which would give me a place wherever I went where I could breathe. But when I started subconsciously holding my breath when getting into my sea moth, I am allowed to breathe right now. I wondered if my IQ was dropping from lack of oxygen. If anyone in the comments knows any long-term or short-term effects of not breathing properly, feel free to share them so I never make a sequel of this. Having this portable air tank, the sea moth, wherever I went, allowed me to go deeper into the ocean. And as I entered the jelly shroom caves, I saw a lot of crab snakes, which wasn't helped by me continuously having to get out of my vehicle to repair it, because I was just edging the maximum depth. I went straight to this building, but I realized scanning all the things inside the building was going to be a dangerous venture, because whenever I started running out of oxygen, I would then need to navigate out of the building and swim all the way back up to my sea moth. And I almost lost at this point when I suddenly started receiving a Discord call, which jump scared me and made me almost lose all of my breath. After I managed to pick my balls up off the ground, I continued scanning for all the useful blueprints that were scattered around this cave. And after almost dying another couple of times while inside the building, I remembered how stupid this video idea was. I finished scanning things and moved on to just collecting some materials around the cave. But further in is where the crab snakes get a lot more aggressive. Now there's this funny phenomenon where experiencing something scary can make your heart rate rise, and that can make your oxygen levels run out much quicker. And after coming across a couple of crab snakes, I very much realized how true this statement was. I really hope there's nothing scarier than these in this game. After leaving that hellish hellhole from hell, I returned to my life pod and found a little guy inside. Oh, isn't he so cute? I love him. Hello. He's my little buddy. But he's not part of the mission. Right now, my next objective was to get onto the Aurora, which means I need a couple of extra tools, namely the laser cutter and the propulsion cannon. But unfortunately, the crew of the Aurora aren't subscribed, so I just had to
smite thee.
To get the laser cutter and propulsion cannon, I needed to enter some wrecks, which are basically like the building down in the shroom caves, but much bigger generally. So wrecks were probably some of the biggest oxygen challenges I had in the game. Especially when the animations are so fucking slow. They're so slow. But I did manage to get the blueprints I needed, so I could skedaddle back to the lifeboat. After making the tools, I headed straight for the Aurora to get me some yummy blueprints. That I will need to beat the game. And there's the big guy. There's a Reaper. Yep, there he is.
Absolute dickhead he is.
Good thing I was in a vehicle because I was losing oxygen faster than a whoopee cushion? Why the fuck did I write that? Oh golly, there's a lot of fires here. And safety first, so I put those out straight away. And while in the crashed ship, I got some data, some scans, and some blueprints. Plus, the nuclear fusion core, which was spilling out a lot of yummy radiation, was a bit damaged, and, you know, your boy doesn't want anything in the ocean getting even bigger, so I decided to fix them.
Oh, I fucking hate
these little fucking bastards. They are the worst fucking things to ever exist. They're like leeches, except they're fucking everywhere, and in the water.
I fucking hate those things.
I finished off exploring the Aurora by scanning a lot of doohickeys and getting a lot of souvenirs. And while going back home,
Oh shit.
I was thinking my way through the different steps of beating the game and realized how long I was going to have to do this. And at this point, I was out of breath, even after not being in the water for quite a while.
This is so fucking... I have genuinely no idea. Like, I hope... Ooh. Yes, please.
At this point, I had found a time capsule, which are really cool containers which can have from anything to everything in them. Guess what this one had? Fucking nothing.
Fuck's sake.
One of the things I definitely 100% needed to beat the game is a Cyclops, and all of the blueprints are scattered around this area.
Okay. Let's see.
While scanning these fragments to get the blueprints, I made the dumbass mistake of repeatedly parking so far away, so whenever I started running out of breath, I had to go another 30 or so seconds before I could get back into my vehicle. Oh, and the last engine fragment. Everywhere I looked was just hull fragments, but it took me so long to get the last engine fragment that it took me to some very, very spooky areas. And yet I did find it at a wreck, and this one took me very close to death because, ooh, there was some long corridors in there. But after collecting the Cyclops fragment, I returned home to my little fish friend. Hey there. Oh, he's so cute. I'm gonna name him Squimbo.
Oh, Squimbo's still here. I love Squimbo.
So to get to the deeper areas of the game, I will need to craft the Cyclops and the prawn suit. The Cyclops being this big ass submarine, and the prawn suit being fucking awesome. But on their own, these won't necessarily get me down all the way, so I will need to upgrade these vehicles. And to do that, I need to build just a little bit of a base. And by a little bit, I mean literally one building, because I don't know about you, but I don't want to spend too long playing a game where I can't breathe for a good chunk of the time. One issue I did run into is that buildings require power, and I decided to use solar panels. But I built it in the nighttime, so when I went inside the building,
Warning, emergency power only. Oxygen production offline.
so there was no power, therefore no oxygen inside the building. So being in there was a bit dangerous. After collecting way more stuff, I managed to get myself lost in this cavern area, which meant I did not breathe for way too long. This was probably the closest I got throughout the entire video of actually running out of breath, which, while uncomfortable, it did tell me that I had a little more oxygen in my lungs than I initially thought. And oh my god, the fucking warpers. I hate warpers so much in this game. They fucking suck.
Stop launching stuff at me.
You know what sucks more than warpers? Ghost Leviathans.
Oh, fuck.
Especially when you're not expecting to see Ghost Leviathans.
Where the fuck am I? Fucking hell.
As the productive man that I am, I decided to turn this fear and rage into something useful, stealing the teeth of these angry fish. But now that I had all the materials I needed, I was able to craft the prawn suit and the Cyclops. Although, for some reason, I decided to be under the Cyclops when it crafted.
I did not realize it would do that. I mean, to be fair, it does make sense.
After using my sea moth so much, it really made the Cyclops seem terrible by comparison. Very slow and clunky and difficult to get into caves and stuff. But eventually I did realize it would be necessary, especially since I have to get to the Lost River area, which is a very spooky place, and it's very far down. And in order to get enough energy to make it all the way down, and basically to the end of the game, I thought about getting some way of recharging power cells. And then I thought, no, I'll just get many power cells. Honestly, this planet can go to shit. I don't care about polluting it with unnecessary batteries. So at this point, I named the Cyclops, and then I said to myself,
was that everything?
hell no, it was not. I was missing a lot of blueprints and items that were completely necessary. But idiot me did not realize that at the time, and so I set off for the Lost River.
Okay, this does kind of just look like I'm going straight into the void, but it should be alright.
And yeah, it was only at this point that I realized I was essentially driving blind.
I feel like I'm missing some stuff. Are there more upgrades here that I've just ignored? Yeah, I do kind of need... Where are the Cyclops upgrades then?
But I had no clue where that was, so I'm lazy enough to make things more difficult for myself. But I wasn't lazy enough to do the impossible, because I still needed to get tablets which would let me into the next zones.
I guess I'll just leave this here and I'll head back.
Now it was at this point that I took a break from recording. I mean, up until this point was already split into 7 separate recording sessions, but at this point I took a break that was about 2 weeks long because my breath just wasn't recovering properly. So, funny trip to A&E, all that stuff. Do not try this at home. But anyway, I logged back on and forgot everything. But then I remembered that I had forgotten a lot more stuff than I thought I had. For example, to survive at lower depths, you need upgrade modules which allow you to go deeper. Otherwise, your vehicle will just get crushed. Currently, my submarine would just implode as soon as I got anywhere near where I needed to go. So I got to the beginning of the Lost River and parked up there, and before I ventured out trying to find this upgrade module, I was distracted by crab squids.
Oh, I fucking hate these motherfuckers.
They are the worst thing that God has placed upon this cursed
Oh
land.
my god, you fucking bitch.
Now, while searching for stuff, I entered a zone and I heard my PDA say something which you never want to hear in this game.
Detecting multiple Leviathan class life forms in the region. Are you certain whatever you're doing is worth it?
Now, I've heard this before, but this time it was backed up with data. With evidence, one might say.
Okay, well... risk it for the biscuit.
And it was only as I got back to the Cyclops that I managed to find the blueprints in a wreck. With these new blueprints, I made a bunch of modules, a bunch of stuff, very useful. But weirdly, I didn't make this sonar upgrade, and I actually never did throughout this playthrough. You could say I was going to, but then I saw this fucking crab squid, and oh my god, my rage overwhelmed me.
see.
And if the crab squid wasn't bad enough for my heart rate, I was then jump scared by this magic alien lady.
Fuck it.
But after all that stress and back and forth, I just spent a little time relaxing, collecting some materials in the Lost River where nothing could attack me.
Let me through. Let me through.
And it was pleasant. See, it's moments like this that really make you appreciate the quiet moments in this game. Anyway, so then I had to edge past a fucking ghost leviathan. These guys are spooky, and because I didn't want to get absolutely fucked by this glowing deity of a snake, I had to turn on silent mode and sneak past. Luckily it didn't hear that, and at last I made it to the best area in the game. If you ever play through this game and you've only made a base right in the beginning areas, make one here, because this area has pretty much every material and it's just so chill, except for the killing machine right outside. But other than that, it's so chill. So I make a base here, forgetting that I didn't actually get the blueprint for a thermal plant, so I had to instead do a fucking bioreactor, basically compost power. And this took a little bit to kick in, and with the base flooded and the power taking a little while to kick in, I had to hold my breath for an annoying amount of time, and it took so long to drain. And after that, there was this whole debacle where I couldn't find any table coral anywhere. So I had to backtrack a little bit, and so I used this to make some upgrades for the prawn suit. So now that I had pretty much everything I needed, I was able to make my way down to the lava zone, which is less spooky. Honestly, I prefer it to the Lost River just because of that ghost leviathan. Even though here, there is a much more dangerous creature. Because of that, I left my Cyclops right at the entrance. And once again, while collecting materials, warpers managed to ruin my day. I fucking hate warpers. This is one of my only deaths throughout the playthrough, and it's so unfair. It's an instant kill, and it's so unfair. So the first area in the lava zone I needed to go to was the thermal plant, where I used some tablets to get some cool glowy radioactive cubes emitting a lot of beta radiation. Is it beta? Oh, I think so. And more importantly, I got the blue tablet, which I need for the end of the game. And there was another item here that I really needed, but I was completely distracted by the fucking magic alien again. Get out of my head. So yeah, I managed to leave this area without getting what I definitely needed to beat the game. So to shut the magic alien up, I made my way down to the active lava zone, which is filled with a lot of lava and some loud beasties. And I used my one and only blue tablet to get inside. And here is actually really useful. You get to activate portals to very near the surface areas, so it's really useful for transport. Then, reaching the actual necessary part of it, I discovered that I needed a second blue tablet, which sucks so much.
Fuck. Why the fuck did I need a second one?
Because I can't craft one unless I go to the Cyclops or my home base. After heading to my home base,
Squimbo.
now just past the blue tablet door, I jumped in this pool and there she is, Magic Lady.
Hello.
And she wants me to help hatch her kids using a hatching enzyme, which is the most annoying crafting recipe in the game, because it's just a bunch of shit in a bunch of different areas. But using the portals, most of these are quite easy to get. But getting the ghost weed, very stressful, because that's right where you don't want to be, in the Lost River with the ghost leviathan.
Okay, well, this is the bit where I hear it scream at me. Fuck. Don't decelerate, you cunt. You fucking...
Fucking spooky. And also the ice stalks, I could not for the life of me figure out where these were. And it took so long, my prawn suit ran out of energy, and I was plunged into a distinct lack of oxygen, which is quite annoying when you're holding your breath instead of looking at numbers in a game. Then I found out that fish in this game can actually fly.
What the fuck are you doing in here? He's fucking flying. Die. Die. Go back out to where you belong. Goodbye.
What a guy. Finally, I found the ice stalks. They were right there. See? Right there. Got them. And I crafted the enzymes, gave it to the big magical alien, and boom. We got babies.
and then one of them dropped this funny ball of goop, which of course I put my hand into, and was cured of space lameness. So now I'm cool, and I was cured of every disease ever. So now I was able to just chill out at the surface. Except no, I had forgotten a lot of things. All of my resources were at the Cyclops in the lava zone, and I also needed to get some blueprints in the lava zone. But guess who didn't know about the blueprints? And annoyingly, when I got back to my Cyclops, it had no power. So I couldn't breathe for a little while in there as well. Do not try this challenge. This sucked so bad. I was so out of breath by the end of it. This sucks. This sucked. And it was only when I got to the tree base that I realized I needed to go back into the lava zone and get some more blueprints. Oh, there he is. I was looking for you. Well, I was looking for you. There's a second one? You know what's more scary than going through an area with a ghost leviathan and seeing a giant ghost leviathan? Going through an area with a ghost leviathan and not seeing a ghost leviathan. Oh, there we are. But I managed to get through okay, and on the way past I got some extra blueprints from the Degassi base, which are necessary to beating the game. At this point I was just able to chill out and gather a ton of material for the Neptune rocket, and nearing the end of my gameplay, I suddenly felt a wave of relief, seeing as I didn't have to hold my breath for much longer. But then the PDA told me I was probably sick, which then reminded me I needed to deactivate the giant space laser, which was going to kill me unless I deactivated it. So I quickly rushed and did that. Finally, I was able to purge my inventory of everything, be fully clean, have no items. I felt so light on my feet. There was one thing I still needed to take with me. And now, with Squimbo in hand, his eye ready to see the stars, I sat down in this rocket I built, knowing that it took me so fucking long to get here, and so many years of my future taken off. I pressed just one more button, and I was free.